Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and I am back with an emergency card kit video. This is using kit 23 that came out on the 15th of January. It has Valentine's Day sentiments on these first 3 pages. And then we move into kind of kids Valentine's sentiments. You can get it in a circle sentiment, both with and without the circle. And then here I have a brand new sentiment shape that you can learn how to cut in the first video that I will link below. And then you can also get them with little images, which is what we'll use for my son's Valentine's. Those main sentiments on page 1 are also available in 4 fonts in strip sentiments. And then here's the card sketch I showed you in the first video. We'll have a stepped up video later. And this is our set of treat holders. There are 2 separate treat holders and I'll show you both of those today. But here's our mystery kit. This is actually from last February. It has Valentine's and Galentine's Day, but there are also coworker sentiments, and some of these are really great for all occasions. Then we also have some kids Valentine's Day sentiments as well. These are Malcolm's sentiments. My son helped me put these together for his Valentine's last year, and then my niece helped me with this next set for her Valentine's last year. Malcolm helped me design this. He thought that there should be a secret pocket in that card. I'll link to that video below so you can find the free printable and the secret pocket Valentine's. There's also a printable you can put on the back with the to and the from and the have an amazing day. And then there's this treat holder, and I love this one. So I'm going to show you this one today as well. Last year's kit also had cutting guides to help you make the most of your paper. If you find printables like this helpful for you, please hit that subscribe button. And my printables are completely free for subscribers. And then we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to begin with the treat holders from this year. So this one starts with a piece of 6x6 paper. I'm using pattern paper and I'm scoring at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. Then I will rotate clockwise and score it at 3/4 of an inch and 5 1/2 inches. That's all of our scoring. So I'm going to fold all of these as mountain folds. When I was scoring, I was careful because this is pattern paper. You can use like a 65-pound, that's probably what this is, but be careful when you're scoring. There are 2 little pieces on the side that we need to cut away. So I'm cutting up the score line and then I am mitering just slightly on that tab. Okay, you can kind of see it there in black. That's what we're cutting away. Then we need to cut the bottom. I'm cutting up that score line until I meet that 3/4 inch score line, and then I'm going to cut the 2 sections in half. I just eyeballed it, okay? It's much easier, but if you want the measurements, they're on the kit. And then those arrows are showing you where I put double-sided adhesive. So I am just going to lay this flat and fold the long side over the short flap that has the adhesive, and then I'm going to remove it from these other 2 flaps. I just made sure it was 2 that weren't right next to each other. So I need to put my flaps with the adhesive down first. You can see they kind of square up in the bottom, and then I'll fold over the other 2 flaps. I'll do my best to kind of press down, but really you need to get something inside there and press down on that. And you have this square bottom and a top that closes all on its own. If you didn't get it squared up quite right, just use your scissors and trim off any extra pieces. On the top, there is one side that is open and one side that is not. We didn't clip right in the middle. So I am wrapping a piece of red cardstock around the top. It's just a 1/2 inch strip, and I am covering up the open gap. It closes a little better that way. Then I'll add my 2-inch circle. I only put adhesive down the middle because it bows a little bit when you squeeze the sides to open it, okay? So if you tried to put glue all over it, you would run into problems. Then I will pop out my Will You Be My Know Me, and I will stick that onto my circle. This is just like any other emergency sentiment. I can fit 10 Hershey Kisses in here. If I tip it upside down, nothing's falling out. For the second treat holder in this kit, we're using an A2 piece of cardstock, and I am grabbing a background stamp. It's the You Matter background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. And I really love the messaging on this one. I think it's great for kids' Valentine's. And I am lining that up on the stamp to make sure that the text is straight. And then I just flip my MISTI to pick it up with my sticky mat. If you don't have a sticky mat, you could just put a little removable adhesive or tape runner on the back of it. And then I'll ink up my stamp, press it firmly, and it's good to go. I want to stamp a couple of these. So I'm going to put some scraps of cardstock just on each side and right into the corner there. And then when I pull this out, I can put the next piece in exactly the same spot and just assembly line this. Again, I'm using 65-pound cardstock here because I still have a bunch in my stash. I usually use heavier stuff, but it works great for this. The cutting and scoring are a little easier for this one. So I'm going to begin by scoring at 2 inches and 4 inches. Then I'll rotate and score at a 1/2 inch and 5 inches. On both sides, it's a 1/2 inch from the end, so it doesn't really matter which way you rotate. I'm going to begin by cutting along the bottom at each of my score lines and then right in the middle of those 2-inch sections. And then I'll just trim away the corner by mitering the edge ever so slightly. It just makes it so you can't see that tab for sure, even if I put it together wonky. Okay, so there's all my pieces, and I've added double-sided tape on the long flap and on every other of those short flaps. I will lay this flat to secure it, and now I've created this little sort of tube, and I'll remove the adhesive from my short flaps. I square it up on the bottom, tuck the adhesive in, and then fold over my other 2 short sides. Once again, I'm going to grab my bone folder and stick it down inside to make sure I've pressed really well and gotten that to stick very firmly. And I've got my treat holder. You could kind of leave it like that if you wanted, but I'm going to add a little more decoration once again. I am wrapping some light blue cardstock around the top. If you wanted to skip this step, it really doesn't affect the function of the treat holder, but I just think it's a nice extra pop of color. I like the contrast, and there's, you know, only so much pink I can handle. Then I have my 2-inch circle, and I have my little adhesive foam right down the middle, and I'll set that on there as well. And I'm going to punch out one of these sentiments that says, "Donut, you know, you are amazing." I know that I'm definitely giving these out as kids' Valentines, so I'm just using wet glue this time instead of using a removable adhesive, and I can fit 5 Hershey Kisses in this one. So that finishes up the 2 treat holders from Kit 23 from January 2024. But this one, you guys, I just love it. This is a little envelope treat holder, and you don't need any specialty dies for this one either. This is my favorite background stamp at the moment. It's Darling Dahlias from Pink Fresh Studio, and I'm going to stamp it onto a piece of cardstock that is 3 by 5.5 inches. That's in the cutting guide. And again, there is a page that shows you how to get the most out of a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I had to stamp mine a few times because, quite frankly, I need to re-ink my ink pad. But then I can begin scoring long ways at 2, 2.25, 4.25, and 4.5. That's it. That's all the scoring. I'm going to fold them all as mountain folds, and then you can see how this kind of folds up like an envelope, but I want a triangle flap. So I'm just going to use my grid to measure to the center point, and I could take it to my trimmer, but that's so much work. So I'm going to eyeball it and just cut from the center to the corner where it meets that first score line. In last year's video, I also showed you some additional ways to decorate this by adding a different color of cardstock to the flap, but I'm going to let that go this time. I am using Velcro dots. They're 3/8 inch circle Velcro dots, and I stack them up. So I have a fuzzy side and a prickly side, and I just stick them right inside the flap, and then I lay it onto the base of my envelope. Then I will flip it over and add a 2-inch circle. I think this one's actually 1 7/8. I have a little jar with just a ton of circles right in that general size. And then I'm going to grab one of the coworker sentiments from last year's kit as well. This one I love. You are freaking amazing. I have so many incredible coworkers. You guys, I'm a teacher, and it's been a handful of years that have just been kind of a challenge, and they keep me going. So here's the finished treat holder, and you can write a little note inside if you want to. For this next one, I'm using the mini scallop card from Pretty Pink Posh. I just love this. It's so cute. And I'm going to make a really quick and easy emergency mini treat holder, but you could easily just make this a mini card. So those are the 2 pieces that came in the die, and then I'm adding a 2-inch circle right in the center using some foam adhesive. And then I will punch out this. If we don't get the day off, it's not really a holiday, is it? I'll stick that in the middle as well. And then I'm going to add another Velcro dot on this one. You could just glue it shut if you didn't have the Velcro dots and you didn't want to get them. I got mine at my local craft store, but you can get them on Amazon. They're a couple of bucks and you get a squillion of them. Then I will stick a Ghirardelli square, that's a full-size square in there, and press it shut. And it's done. That's treat holder number 4. For number 5, this is another pretty pink posh die. This one's called Sweet Note, and I am adding these 2 pieces, the light blue sort of card, and then there's some stitching detail on that red piece, and I cut some pattern paper at 2¼ inches square. Then I grabbed the ephemera that came with that pattern paper, or coordinates. I guess I bought it separately, and I'll add that on there. When you go to fold this one, be very careful. There are stitching lines right next to the score lines, and you don't want to fold on the stitching lines. Then I'm going to put my little circle, my 2-inch circle, right underneath this little half moon that it cuts where the flap tucks under. I used some donut ephemera on the other side, so I am punching out a sentiment from this year's kit. Donut, you know, you are amazing, and I will add that on there with some wet glue. For this one, I'm going to add some lovely peach tea in here. Not everybody is a huge chocolate fan. Can I tell you, I'm not really a chocolate eater, but I do love some peach tea, and that finishes up number 5. For number 6, I'm using that same stamp and just a darker ink onto an A2 piece of light blue cardstock. And I'm going to use this die from scrapbook.com. I bought this a while ago. It's the Little Envelopes Specialty. I don't know if they're specialty dies. It's just what it says on the package, folks. I don't write these things. And then I'm going to run it through my die cut machine and fold all of them as mountain folds. I'm going to add glue in 2 places. Make sure you really get that bottom piece secured, or maybe I need to be just a little less impatient. I added some of my Big Mama foam roll, my 1mm foam on the back of that 2-inch circle. And then we're going to use a sentiment from this year's kit, ovaries before broveries. I'm going to add some wet glue on the back and center that on my little envelope. You got that stamp, you guys. I can't get over that stamp. I've got my 3/8 inch Velcro, but if you didn't want to use the Velcro, you could just put a sticker on this guy once you put your treat in there. The Ghirardelli minis fit beautifully, and I will seal that shut. Just a fun, quick, easy little treat. That finishes up our 6 super simple treat holders. I would love to know which one is your favorite. If you have subscribed to my channel, this printable is completely free. So you can go to the description box below the video and you'll find all the instructions for downloading it there. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I'll see you next time.